Hi, my name is Monica Estrada Guzman, and I am the founding program director at Nido de Esperanza and community social worker. Today, I'm here to talk to you guys about what mercy means to me, or how it's played a place in my heart, in my upbringing, in the work that I do, in the day-to-day, and even in my own professional development of what it is to embody and just be a walking definition of what mercy is. I looked up what the definition was, and it says compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it is within one's power to punish or harm. And, you know, it's such a loaded word in today's day of how do we show mercy to our neighbors? How do we show mercy to those that perhaps are on the opposite line politically, right? Who perhaps do not share the same thoughts or principles or upbringings as we do. And as Christians, right? How do we walk among our city during this time of COVID, during this time of social injustice and social change, in such a pivotal moment in time that we're choosing a new political leader? But for me, mercy in my own personal life has always had I've always had a battle with it, especially within the church. To me, the church has always been a place of refuge where I wanted to come and find compassion, to be able to have my fellow brother and sister show me love and compassion during the moments where hardest for me. I was in my first year of college, and I was getting ready to be a Young Life staff leader. And the church was going to help me get a small stipend monthly to help me, buy the necessary things. At that time, I was still in the process of becoming a U.S. permanent resident. And one of the elders just every Sunday would just come at me and just, has there been an update about your legal status? But you're a good person. Oh, what can we do? And it was every Sunday after church. And it was something that I was like, I had just worshiped and I had just heard and nourished in God's words. And it was all taken away by someone that out of his own way of wanting to help, didn't know that he was causing pain. And it made me want to leave the church. And I did leave it. So I want to explain why this was offensive, this action by this leader at the church. At the time, California had changed its policies towards undocumented students, where you had to pay out-of-state tuition or even international fees to go to school. A lot of the hopes and dreams that I had of pursuing a higher education, and the reason why my mom came to this country, those doors were being closed. The notion of highlighting the fact that I was undocumented and there was nothing I can do about it other than, waiting my line in the system or having an application already filled that was taking forever to be processed due to the quotas or the visas allowed it per year. And having someone just come in and asking me every week, is there anything we can do? But you're such a good immigrant. You're such a good person. Like, the church can write a letter on your behalf. You should just go down to immigration and just tell them, no, like, what's happening. I have this, of exposing myself and being there, just a fear of, having to even go to any institute, any government institution. And it was on a constant basis, on a weekly after church. And, as much as I would have hoped that my situation would have changed in 7 days, it didn't. But to constantly be reminded was the hurtful part, and a space of worship and grace and love. I was hurt that those that were in power and leadership felt like asking this question that was like an open wound every Sunday, it was okay, and not acknowledging his own white male privilege in that space. At that time, I didn't have this vocabulary. I was just, trying to be respectful and loving and just trying to be like, okay, well, clearly he doesn't get it. But out of that just came that resentment. He took the one little thing that I had of going to church and feeling that to be a safe space. So to me, that definition of mercy is showing compassion to that person. Years later, I got to see him and I had finished school. And it was just a moment of forgiveness, of just seeing this person and just knowing that perhaps that was not his intention to hurt, but his actions drove me to show that someone like me deserved to be in spaces, deserved to have opportunities given to in spaces of worship, where you would think your brother and sister can uplift you and not judge you, or feel insecure because you may be doing something that's wrong, where you did not have a choice in the matter. So to me, mercy has been that, kind of coming head to head with folks within the church that share the same belief of Christianity and God and forgiveness. And how do you even navigate being a Latina, a woman of color, immigrant, within like white spaces within the church? And it's taken some time. Clearly, I'm still feeling some type of way about it, but in showing mercy is being able to forgive and to be able to let go. Because in Matthew 6:14, it says, "For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive." So if I can forgive this person way years later, then how am I going to expect my heavenly Father to forgive me for any transgressions? Because I know I'm not perfect. And in this moment that we're living, like, how do we show mercy to our brothers and sisters who have lost a loved one, who are mourning family members that live in different countries where you cannot even say goodbye, families that are, making the best that they can do and just, being so inspiring by their resilience and their hurt and coming alongside them? And how do we show mercy in this moment in time? We are being called. How do we stand up? How do we stand up and show mercy for one another? What are we doing? If you were to look at your mirror this morning or this evening, what have you done to extend mercy to someone? Have you stepped outside the box to do something for your brother and sister? For an organization? To show a smile? To show grace? To prepare a meal for your neighbor, to send someone a note saying, "I'm thinking about you." What are we to do in these next few days, weeks, as 2020 draws near? I believe we're under 100 days. 2020 has not been at all kind to many of us. Many of us had lost our jobs, have lost our way of life, not even being able to travel and seeing friends, or being able to connect people. As humans, we need embrace. I know that's one thing I miss. I miss having our families come in and kids coming and hugging us and knowing that the science behind a hug is so huge. It's like two hearts connecting. How are we able to connect our hearts in a digital era? Could we embrace mercy in other ways? How can I hug you in this moment of need, of hurt, of victory, of joy, and sharing all these things that happen in our lives? So how do we become mercy? How do we forgive? How do we demonstrate compassion? How do we draw upon God's example of what is love, grace, and forgiveness in a moment where a new political leader is going to be elected, where a new Supreme Justice is going to be selected? How is that going to impact my brothers and sisters who may need access to health, who is married to the love of their life and may be of the same sex, and that's already in the line? How are we showing compassion and mercy for the poor, for the immigrant, for the weary, for the widow, for those who have lost everything? I hope that I get to inspire you to think outside of your comfort zone, to how you will extend compassion and mercy and forgiveness to those that perhaps in your hearts of hearts may not deserve it. But at the same time, it's such a liberating act of just forgiving. It doesn't mean they don't have to be your best friend. I know that this person it's not been in my life, and he's not a best friend. But every time I think of him, all I can do is show mercy and grace and just pray for those recently that have offended me, who had let me down. The same thing too. I'm practicing redirecting my thoughts and feelings instead of saying, I'm going to carry this hurt that my body is going to carry, that is going to be manifested in a headache and a knee ache and a backache. I'm just going to pray and send love and light your way, because I am not in your shoes and I do not know what's going on in your life. So my challenge to you is, how can you show mercy and compassion and forgiveness to those around you? I would say choose 3. Begin with that. Write it down. What has been something in your life? Someone in your childhood, in your family, your spouse. How can you show mercy and compassion to someone else? For us to be able to leave 2020 in a high note, lighter, and just looking into God's grace and mercy to help us do that to others. Like our church mission statement, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's hard during these times, but let's just embrace that. How can I love my brother and my sister? How can I love that person or those people? And even changing the narrative of how we address others. Those people's they're human beings just like us. Thank you for your time, and I hope that this inspires great discussion for you guys this evening. Thank you.